Came from Kirby. And then I put one on the Market Sunday in Colorado Springs North in Creekside, which is off Old Ranch Road and Highway 83, north of the shops at Briargate. And I've had 12 showings since Sunday. And several threats of offers, but nobody's coming across the table at $475. Now see, that's hot down there. 400s. I know. You kind of need a little more time. Yeah. Yeah, you need a little more time. You'll come up. That's a little slower market. Not too much demand.
Call the meeting to order. The City Council. That wasn't loud enough. Calling the City Council meeting of July 2nd in order at 7:02. Suzanne, roll call.
Thank you. Mayor Carr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem LeBar. Here. Councilmember Case.
Here.
Councilmember Neal.
Here.
Councilmember Path.
Here.
Councilmember Zulawaga.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
America, we love you. And the popcorn's ready.
That's what it sounds like.
All right, we've done some adjusting on the agenda. We've moved up the City Woodland Parks recognition coin up to 3A. So let's see who's presenting. Darren.
Good evening, City Council. I wanted tonight to take the opportunity to recognize one of our employees that has done a phenomenal job on the project we gave them last year. Spoke to Mayor Carr last year. There was a discussion with Mayor Levy at the time. There was a discussion just some of the council members had. Maybe there's another way to recognize our employees and our residents and our members of our community, other than what we've been doing for the last, I don't know how many years, a mayor's pin. And so we decided to embark on a project to look at possibly doing a challenge coin for the city. And a challenge coin, and this is very much in line with something, my past profession, but we wanted to do something that was really unique and represented a lot of the history and beauty of the community. And so what we did is started looking at it, and I wanted to find. We just happen to have a great graphic artist that we just hired into the into the city. And I came to her and asked her whether or not she would be willing to do the project. Cindy had to get permission because I didn't want to take too much of her time, but it turned out really, really great. And so part of that project is we had to actually reach out to the Southern Indian tribe to get permission for a portion of this and make sure that this coin didn't cross out any boundaries of any sensitivities in terms of their tribe. Are we okay here, Rob? And we got that permission. And so we went ahead. It took a while. COVID-19 hit, as you know, and we had to send these off to be stamped. But we finally got them in about 4 weeks ago. And what I wanted to do tonight, we're still developing a policy, but this will be the city's recognition coin. Either myself or the mayor will recognize members of our community and staff and adjacent agencies who've done great things for our city with these coins. And the first one I'd like to present is to Grace Johnson. So. This is your first one. Grace did you look at it, so I want to talk just a little bit. Actually, I'd let you talk about that, but what's on the coin and how we came about basically putting these symbols on the coin.
Sure. So we wanted to represent the city in a modern way as it is now, while also representing the history of the region. So part of that was the Midland Railway, the lumbering industry, the rodeo, and then of course the Ute people. So that's what that back of the coin is, and then also having our core values represented, and of course Pikes Peak, and of course being City Above the Clouds. So we went through a few iterations of this, but this is what we ended up with that sort of represented all of those things in a way that was aesthetically pleasing. So.
Any questions for Grace or about the coin?
I do have a question, since this is the initial coin started. You mentioned the challenge coin, which is its legacy, versus a recognition. Is this coin going to carry the same tradition of what the challenge part means? And if so, Aaron, could you explain that to Grace?
I'll have to get some legal analysis on that. Are we going to make a line item in the budget to fund the challenge part? So the challenge coin, if you're ever at a bar or a drinking establishment, and you have the coin and someone doesn't, you have to buy them. They have to buy you a drink. So you get the first one. So it sounds like next time you see a council member out in Woodland Park, you may challenge them. So I just want to give Grace a round of applause because I think she did an incredible job. Thanks, Grace.
Grace, I have a question for you. So it says established in 1891. I don't know the history of it, but there was a battle between two different names for Woodland Park. Is 1891 when that was settled to choose the name Woodland Park?
I actually don't know. So this was just from referencing the Historical Society, and that was the date that we used, was what they gave me.
I can answer that. So 1891 is when the city became officially incorporated.
Under the name of Woodland Park or under?
It used to be called Manitou Park,
Okay.
that's what you're alluding to.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this significance is just we became official city in 1891. The name, no.
Okay. Do we know when the name actually became Woodland Park?
We sure do, but ask me now if I know it. I'd have to go look it up.
You can
but
come back then.
I will. I will email that to you, the answer.
All right, very good. Well, the rest of the citizens might like to know too.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thanks, Grace.
Moving on to 3A, we're going to talk about suspending our practice of, just in case it happens again, for two situations, the DDA and the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And we're going to talk about possibly suspending those. Jason Myers, would you like to pitch in?
Sure. So to give you a little background, Resolution 339, which is Series 1996, so this has been on the books for quite some time, but this is, as you might recall from last meeting, when there was a tie vote, and automatically, this resolution requires that a tie vote is automatically considered an action to table the item until the next meeting. And so we had this discussion briefly when we were looking at appointing a council member, and we had a potential tie vote. We didn't want that matter to continue to kick down the road indefinitely. And so understanding that there's 6 council members and there's the potential for a tie vote, I don't know what that vote might be tonight, but the potential for a tie vote, rather than having that issue move down the road indefinitely, my suggestion and recommendation to council to suspend this resolution, or the requirement of this resolution, for this evening's meeting on those two agenda topics. It may be a non-issue, but if we don't have the discussion before the vote, then it's considered automatically tabled to the next meeting, so that's why I wanted to address it at this point.
Thank you, Council. So we talked about this in our agenda meeting this morning. Anybody interested in discussing it, commenting, making a motion?
So my question would be, if we decide, fine, we're not going to bring it back next week, what's the action step then where does it go next?
So, on this particular issue or on a vote?
Well, let's say we vote to table it, and we're not going to bring it back next week, whether it's on DDA or Park and Rec. So my question is, then what's our next action step? How do we resolve it to the next?
And see, that's what's fun about the way this resolution reads, and I'll read it verbatim so you kind of have an idea. That the council further resolves that in the event of a quorum of council is present and conducts business resulting, so it's business, anything that you guys are up to, resulting in a tie vote, that tie vote shall be considered an action to table the item to the next regularly scheduled meeting or a duly called special meeting for further consideration of the council. So this would automatically be placed on July 16th. If there's a tie vote on it, it would be an automatic tabling to that agenda unless council called a special meeting in advance of that, which you could do. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that I get that part. That's not my question. So, okay, we decide in advance to say we're not going to bring it 2 weeks from now. What's the alternative?
So in that case, so if you do suspend this resolution for those two agenda topics, and there is a tie, generally speaking, any agenda or action item that fails to have a majority of the agenda basically it will pass. So in either of these cases, there's potential for and I also wanted to address that issue, but I'm also ready to address the ordinance that we found today.
Yeah, my question, the question is that talks to a tie, which means that there be a yea or nay. In the case of casting votes, the requirement is to get a majority. So if there's no majority, does that fall under the same thing as a tie vote? Because they are different.
And the action would be, do we appoint so-and-so to the board? And answer the question, call the question to have that answer. So that's where, if that vote that fails to reach a majority, it will pass. If there's 3 no's,
So I would assume the language on the ballot has been changed so that it
Correct.
now has a
Because at last meeting, it was unclear what the votes meant, so we wanted to make sure that was clear at this meeting. So that's what changed. And in the Parks and Recreation Board, there's two spots. So we expect out scenarios in that. I don't think that there's a very good chance that you
you.
guys
Any other-
surprised me.
Yes. We can go 2 hours like we were this morning. Any other questions or comments? I'd entertain a motion to suspend the resolution early for the next 2 votes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to suspend resolution number 3339, series 1996.
I'll second.
Suzanne?
Carr?
Yes.
Luce? Yes. Lamar? Yes. Neal?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Zumalaga?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Now knowing that, our next agenda item is to appointments to the DDA board and voting again, but we have a different kind of ballot. So,
And Your Honor, if I could interject just briefly to make
Please.
sure the public's aware. As of about 5:30 this afternoon, last meeting, there was a lot of discussion about how many people are supposed to be on the board. I went through about 2.5 years worth of the last council meetings and DDA board meetings to try to find the answer to that question. I couldn't find it. But I believe Mr. Coy was able to find an ordinance from 11 years ago wherein the council made that number 9. So there is supposed to be 9 members on the board. That's it today. That's what the requirement is.
thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Mayor, I might, just for the record, note that when the city attorney refers to Mr. Coy's, speaking on Mr. Coy, a member of the DDA group. So that the public's clear.
Thank you.
Suzanne, if you would give us our tally, please.
So Mayor Carr has voted to appoint Elijah Murphy, Jerry Good, Marty McKenna. Mayor Pro Tem LeVar has voted no to appoint any of the 3. It's a vote of no for all 3. Councilmember Case has a vote of no for all 3. Councilmember Neal has a vote of no for all 3. Councilmember Papp has voted yes for Elijah Murphy, Jerry Good, Marty McKenna. And Councilmember Zumalaga has voted yes for Elijah Murphy, Jerry Good, Marty McKenna. So you have a tie, sir.
Thank you. So the motion's been
Your Honor, and at this point, because now we know the number is supposed to be 9, there is considered to be 3 vacancies under the statutes and the DDA bylaws. That vacancy should be filled within 30 days. The other option, as brought up, is council has the ability to change that number to do so if fit. But 30 days is kind of the clock.
moving on to the next appointments to the Parks and Rec, well, advisory.
I would entertain this council considering changing the resolution 2009 to go back to where range 25
Well, I'd like to know what you're thinking behind that.
just to be consistent with the statute. I think that it's adequate. I don't know that we need to tie ourselves to 9.
Well, if I could give a follow-up, it looks like that happened 11 years ago, and you were in the mix at that time, at least in the city's level.
I was on staff.
You were on staff, right? So what was it that caused the city, the council, to determine that they wanted to increase it from 7 to 9 historically at that time, just to give the rest of us a bit of a perspective of what it was?
You know, my memory fails me. It's not the
Forgive
first
us.
time, trust me. I know that things were much more active at that time. We were right after the onset of the recession of 2008. And before the recession of 2008, there was quite an elaborate, if you will, and energetic development taking with the developers. And unfortunately, a lot of things, including that, went by the wayside with the onset of the Great Recession in 2008. Whether, and as far as the reasoning and the rationale for doing that, by the council ultimately, I just simply can't. I don't want to.
So, Councilmember Case, did you make a motion?
I will make that motion.
I raised my hand. You can do whatever, you can vote however you want on this. I'll definitely be a no if we do this resolution, but the reality is that ordinance 1113 does not go against statute. It's just a preference made by the council. So I just want to make that very clear. And we're fudging around with this way too much right now. We could easily come to a resolution as a council, and we decided not to for whatever stupid reasons that we're doing that. We need to put this freaking thing to bed and quit playing around with it. It's wasting our time. So if you want to make a motion, that's fine. I'm strongly against it.
I don't believe that
Discussion's
stupid
still-
is necessary. Thank you.
Discussion.
So she's made a motion. If you could restate it, please, Councilmember Case.
I just move that we amend our ordinance number 1113, series 2009, to be in alignment, not to say that this is against the statute, to be in alignment with the statute, with a minimum of 5 and a maximum
I see the city attorney.
Point of order, discussion is not done.
Yeah, we're going to do discussion, but the city attorney's.
I want to make sure we're clear on what the vote or majority of council is this evening. It's an agenda item for appointments, not necessarily agenda item for changing the ordinance. So what we're looking for as staff is direction one way or the other of, do we go out to seek additional applicants to fill those spots up to 9, or do you want us to come back with a resolution or ordinance changing this? That's kind of the direction we're taking. The only other thing I would add to avoid ambiguity, the statute does provide that you can have it between 5 and 11. My recommendation is that you do settle on a number, so that way we understand when there's vacancies and when there's not vacancies. Because that was kind of an amorphous issue from last meeting. So whatever that number is up to the city council to determine. But I would recommend that you come up with a number. If you do it an odd number, typically you'll have a vote one way or the other in that regard. That number's up to you.
So basically,
Thank
that
you,
sounds
Jason.
like new business to me. We're in appointment.
Well, and I guess what are you wanting us to do as staff is to move towards the direction, it's not a decision, but move towards the direction of advertising and filling a vacancy, or move towards the direction of changing the number.
Councilmember Neal.
I have a question regarding what is the process if in 30 days we have the same lot? How do you force a vacancy to be filled? What is the process for forcing council members to fill a vacancy?
So I don't know the answer to that because these statutes particularly don't address that issue. I can provide a similar situation that the statutes talk about that leads to an erroneous issue. From my experience, statutory towns are required to have 5 or 7 board members, and their statutes require them to do certain things. We're a charter home rule municipality, so this doesn't apply to us. But in that instance, the statutes require when there's a vacancy that it must be filled, and if it's not filled, it must go to an election. And so some of these small towns have the issue with they have a vacancy, nobody runs to fill that vacancy. It forces a vote, nobody pulls out petition to run for that. They cancel the election, and the statute would require that into perpetuity, which doesn't make any sense. And so while the statute says shall be filled within 30 days, you're absolutely right. There's nothing that we can force people to do. We can't conscript people from the DDA boundaried area to be on this board, nor do the statutes contemplate city council being forced to appoint somebody that you don't want to. So all I can offer is there are instances out there where the statutes require something that's physically not capable of doing.
Mr. Mayor, before we move any further, I'd like to withdraw my motion, as that was not appropriate for where we're at on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Paff?
Someone had, I switched microphones, someone had wondered what I had said. I noticed that was listening in, and I have something more to add. The point I made that you couldn't hear is that we're wasting an inordinate amount of time on this issue. For some reason, I cannot discern. Everyone knows my position that I am not at all a fan of the DDA or TIF financing of any sort, and I would definitely wish that this albatross around our neck that was placed there by some people who wanted to bypass our charter to be able to give favorable treatment to businesses went ahead and used a part of our state code to develop something that would provide an adequate bypass to the will of the people of this city when they ask that we not give special favor to anyone. We're dragging this on, and we're constantly wasting time in council meetings, in the last 2 council meetings on this particular issue, when really what needs to happen, the process that needs to take place is the DDA needs to figure out what the heck they're going to do with the DDA land. There's something on the table which they're working on, which I hope will come to fruition. If it does, great, and let's figure out a way to move on. If it doesn't, then we'll figure out a way to move on. But I think it is an inordinate waste of time in our council meetings right now, and it puts the DDA in a bad place where we got to wrangle through what they need to be doing to get this land figured out. It's their mission to do it. The city gave them the land. We need people on that board to take care of that. The process allows for, for those who are still not yet up for renewal to remain there. The people that were already on and are seeking to be renewed on it, 2 members at least, would be sufficient to be able to allow the DDA to get its work done, get the land figured out, and move along. And I'm just expressing my frustration with the fact that this process is takes up so much time when we could be doing so many more important things, and let the DDA finish that job so we can get moving on, because this is there's so much division in this town when it comes to this issue. And I personally would like to see it put to bed. I know that there are other council members that even they may not agree with me in all my particular statement, but they agree with my general concern that we get this albatross off our neck. We can't do that if we don't have a functioning board, at least I don't think effectively enough. So I'm expressing my frustration and concern that we're causing this thing to drag on. And so for the person that wanted to know that, that's basically what I'm trying to say. And I wanted to lay this on the table for everyone to understand. I hope we can get this taken care of quickly.
Thank you. So, Council, are we of the opinion that we re-advertise this with staff's needing direction? What's your...
I'll chime in just briefly.
Please.
I agree with Jim. However, I agree that the explanation is the definition of insanity. To continue to do the same thing over and over and over, and we have not had success, I refuse to continue the insanity. I think that the board can function just fine at a minimum amount of people, and I think that that's appropriate. The more amount of people we add, the more the insanity just grows. We can choose to make it to fit statutorily between the 5 and 11, and that would be my preference. I think the board would function well at 5, and that's my opinion.
Well, if I may respond to that, the board doesn't function well at 5 because we got vacancies. So there is an actual plan on the table which could be considered, which will now be delayed for whatever time it takes for us to figure out how we're going to fill a vacancy.
But that's in our control. It doesn't have to be.
And it's in our control right
9
now,
or 7.
and we could get this resolved and move on, unless someone's got preferences for other people, which if there's a preference for other people, instead of just sticking with the people that are already working on the plan, then that's less about it's under our control and we can do whatever, and it's more about I have an agenda, I'd like to see someone else get on there, which frankly, we're going to continue this till November with tie votes, I'm pretty certain, based upon the current dynamic. So therefore, the decision we're making is to hamper the board longer. That for me is not consistent with what I know is our shared desire to see this thing move on. We're extending it further. And this plan could get considered and resolved. I don't know that it's the best plan that could be done. I've seen and heard things about it, but it's a plan, and it'd be nice to get that under the table so we can move on and get to something else. And we're not making that process go more quickly by leaving vacancies on the board. And I don't think anyone can speak against the character of the two people that we're considering. And also, from my understanding and discussions with them and other members of the board, their similar desire to get to a resolution where we're at. So I think if our desire is to get this situation resolved, it's best to do it with a board which has a majority of people, from my perspective, who have the same long-term plan that we have. So I think it would be very good to be able to move with people that will get done what I think there's consensus. That'll come to a vote sometime, but I think there may be consensus on this council to get to a place. And these are two people, at least, who would like to go the direction we want to go and help us get there more quickly. So I think that we're just extending this problem longer for no good reason, in my personal opinion.
And if the goal is to get rid of this albatross, because that is what you said the goal is, then I, along with Councilmember LaBarre, feel that her proposal of going to 5 members gets rid of the albatross, and therefore the DDA can continue to function and approve whatever plan that they are working on with 5 people. Her proposal accomplishes both your goals.
It actually does not, because it dilutes the board from the types of people that we're hoping that would get there, because not everyone's in agreement with us on the board. So you've diluted the vote, and which will cause that to take longer. And my estimation is the 2 people that we could, at least 2 of the people that are current board members that are sitting there right now, could help us get there more quickly than moving down to 5, where I know we have some votes that don't agree with us.
Exactly the opposite will take place. You are not diluting the vote, you're intensifying the vote into 5 people.
No. You're intensifying in numbers. You're diluting the consensus by removing 2 members that hold that consensus. So, and there are other members who don't. So no, that is diluting the vote for where we're trying to go. You're right, it does consolidate the vote in terms of numbers. It dilutes the vote in terms of the direction that the discussions that I've had, almost everyone in this town agrees with. So I'd really like us to get there, and I think that, I know we're spending a lot of time talking about this now, but I think the points need to be made, and I think the public needs to understand we're dragging our feet, and we need a plan to get done on this land so that it gets taken care of as quickly as possible. That's my opinion.
Mayor Carr.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say that the people that I've talked to, and many of them as recent as this week, are in agreement with this direction. They're tired, and they're ready to move on. And so just want to share that. Depends on who you talk to. There's a lot of folks in the downtown that have had enough and are ready to move forward. And everyone has an opinion, and I can see that a lot of us on this board differ in that opinion. Thank you, sir.
One more time, Councilmember Zuluaga.
So as the DDA representative for council, I'm astounded at how this controversy is playing out here. Our function, as far as I can perceive, is to support what the DDA's mandate is. It's already in statute. This process is something which is unfolding. It's had a bad rap. The DDA has some baggage in the past. But to characterize it as an albatross, it's, well, you added to it, whatever, is an unfair aspersion on the efforts of good Woodland Park citizens. The folks that are on that board are good, quality Woodland Park citizens who desire the best for our community and our business community. It's our responsibility to the citizens of Woodland Park to support them to succeed at what they're doing. And all this backwards and forwards and this getting in the way of what's in statute, to me, is irresponsible on our part. Let them do what they need to do. I have observed, as I've studied what the DDA has gone through and where they are today, they actually are functioning really well. And if they had the support of City Council, if they had the support of the people of Woodland Park, we could turn around the flagging, what's the right word, the languishing business community in our downtown area. If we all get on board, we start getting excited about our businesses, we start supporting their vision instead of knocking it down, I think we could have a totally different dynamic going on here. And for us to project failure on them, I think is really unfair.
Well, Robert, I don't think anybody projected failure. The use of the term albatross was on the process. Councilmember Paff said that the process is the albatross of getting somebody elected. Now you're lecturing us because you don't like the fact that the vote did not go in the manner that you would like. Are you willing to concede your position and go with what Councilmember LaBarre has proposed, go with 5, the albatross is gone, the DDA can move forward with the 5 members?
So I'm going to jump in here. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in. CRS 3125805, Section 3 reads as follows. A member should hold office until a successor has been appointed and qualified. We do not have, our motion failed, so the 3 members who are sitting are still sitting, and they have a full board.
No,
she's part
she
of it.
would still be.
She resigned.
No, she's waiting for a successor. So we're going to do nothing at this point, is my suggestion.
Amen.
Is that the opinion of the city attorney?
I would say I agree that the point is that they hold office until someone else can be appointed. I don't want it to be construed that their term is extended an additional 4 years, because the following sentence or following part of that sentence talks about that their terms shall be 4 years from the date that they're brought onto the board. And so there is some overlap to make sure that the board can continue to function in the absence of new appointees. So I agree that they're still on the board until someone else is found. And I guess perhaps the direction I understand, council, maybe I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but perhaps staff can advertise the positions as being open until filled, and also draft a resolution and leave that number blank as to what council wants to put in there. I don't know if that's appropriate.
That's kind of what I was suggesting originally, but
Okay, that works.
Val.
Councilmember Pat.
Well, I would only bring in what was somewhat public, but we had a private discussion about the terms of council members in the interim from the election and the seating of council members, and it was the city's determination that meeting could take place where business could be done in that interim with very similar language. It really seems to me that they sit on there until the council appoints. I mean, we get back into this thing of where we've got competing interests, and it was your determination in regards to that issue that I brought up to you with that April 8th meeting or whatever it was, that that the power of council was to be able to do business until those seats could be filled as well. I think we have a similar determination here, it seems to me.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're on the same page. They hold their position until it's filled. I don't think the intention of the statute is that term extends another 4 years. It's just until someone else is duly appointed.
True, but if the council is too lazy to do that in 4 years, I'm not saying we should, and I'm not saying that even that it will happen, that still might be the determination there, and that's something we could resolve.
I'm going to ask for a point of order.
I would ask that we not have insulting words used
Exactly.
on the dais, please.
I don't view this as being lazy. I view this as the council members have been doing their homework. The council members are uncomfortable with the candidates that have been placed before them, and some of the council members are of the opinion that the composition of the DDA is, it would be good to have a change of the membership. So I don't view it as lazy, and I would ask that you, restrain from using insulting language.
I don't withdraw the statement, and because it refers to some action that has not yet taken place, which might happen in the future.
So I'm going to suggest to council that we advertise
Yes.
and see if we can get more candidates. I realize that we've been doing this for a long time, but we'll talk to people and hope. I mean, I've talked to everybody that I can think of, but is that good enough direction? Well,
In the resolution too, the blank thing you're saying.
well, it's not the same. They're two different things. Yeah, continue to advertise and then, sure, do
And
it.
I can draft an ordinance similar to the one that you had that just leaves the number blank, because I don't want to assume.
When we get to fill it in on our vote. No, just kidding.
Mayor Carr, I want to clarify one other thing about the lazy comment. By the way, I think the aspersion was placed on me, not on you, because I said if the council were to be that lazy, and I said, which I don't think is going to happen. So I think the aspersion was cast upon me because I did not call the council lazy.
Thank you,
I talked about something that could happen in the future, which I don't think we're going to do, which if it did happen would be a very poor decision.
Thank you, Jim.
So are we good? We got two different things we're working on. Are we good? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. Now to Parks and Rec Board. I forget where we're at. Suzanne Leclerc.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, as council knows, we have appointments to the prayer board. We have received 3 applications. If council will recall, back in May, we had one applicant apply. That was applicant Jan Wilson, and she was unable to be appointed at that time because we did not have the majority of city members that board requires. So currently, we have 3 members that live in the city, and we have 2 members that live in the county. So we need to appoint 2 positions tonight, and we have 3 people interested. And that if Jan Wilson was chosen, that would be okay, because one of the others would be chosen as well. And then we would have the 4 in the city, 3 in the county, 7 full on the board, ready to do business.
So remind us again what the count is currently before the vote.
We have 3 in the city, and we have 2 in the county.
Excellent. So we're in compliance already.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
If Mayor would like, I can hand out ballots for this one.
I don't see anybody here to make us. Oh, I'm sorry. We have. Come on up.
And Mayor, the others are on Zoom.
Oh, okay, well. All right. Taking the present candidate, would you like to come up and give us a little bit of spiel about why you want to be on the Parks and Rec Board? Or introduce yourself to us. Say hi.
I'm Terry Baldwin, and I've been here since last October, and I filled out an application, and I think one of the questions was, why are you applying? And my very simple answer was, I understand there's an opening and I want to help. I have a background in, I was a paralegal for a long time, so I have kind of a legal background. My most recent experience was as an athletic director at a 5A school up in Thornton, I'm retired from that. I also have a mental health background. Like to work with kids, and I'm kind of a sports person, so I thought it might be a good thing to get involved with.
Thank you, ma'am. I was fumbling with my paperwork. We always have people show up and give their name and the municipality they live in, and you may have said that. I apologize. I missed it.
I live in the city.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the candidate? None. Thank you. Appreciate it. I can't see the Zoom situation here because it's not up on our screen.
So the other applicants would be, is Jan Wilson available, Rob? Susan?
If any of the other, there's Sue. I know Sue. Sue, would you like to give a quick your name and your location and a couple words about why you'd like to be on this board?
Well, my name is Susan Janicki, and I live in the city. And I belong to Keep Woodland Park Beautiful, and I have volunteered along with Jan to adopt the dog park. I feel we're very fortunate to be able to enjoy our beautiful parks and great hiking trails here in Woodland Park, and I would like to be part of helping to keep them for many generations, and if possible, to create more of them.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you for stepping up. Is Jan Wilson available?
I am here.
We don't see your wonderful face yet.
I don't know why you can't see me, because before the meeting it was there, but I don't know what happened now. But I'm here.
We recognize your voice. If you'd like to say a couple words.
Yeah, there's no disguising that.
Appreciate it. And Sue will, there we go.
Put the application in because I knew there were openings and they needed some help, and I just wanted to be able to participate and help out in my community. So that's why I put the application in.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Thank you all for applying. We have a bunch of wonderful volunteers in this city, and we need more, but believe it or not. But we love that you're all stepping forward to do this. Without further ado, do you have ballots? Thank you.
I do, sir. And the instructions for these ballots are to just circle 2 candidates, 2 people. Just circle 2.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
By name.
You got a runner.
The name should be on the top of it.
Can I hire you as my deputy?
Thank you.
You got clout with the county.
That's mine.
I had them in order. Starting with the mayor gets his first.
I'm teachable.
Even county people are teachable. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
Your servant's heart. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
You looking for a job, Don?
Thank you for helping.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I think so, too. Thank you
Drum
for your
roll.
assistance.
Suzanne, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. Councilmember Zulawaga has selected Jan Wilson and Susan Janicki. Councilmember Neal has selected Susan Janicki and Terry Baldwin. Councilmember Case has selected Susan Janicki and Terry Baldwin. Mayor Pro Tem Labar has selected Susan Janicki and Terry Baldwin. Mayor Carr has selected Jan Wilson and Susan Janicki. And Councilmember Path has selected Jan Wilson and Terry Baldwin. Let me tally these for a moment. Oh, you do? Thank you.
Did you get it? Oh, gosh, but I don't have the names. I just put their... Susan Janicki got 5 votes, and Terry Baldwin got 4 votes, and Jan Wilson got 3 votes.
So we have, I didn't hear the, do you have, put your mic on, maybe?
Oh, I'm sorry. So the winners then of the vote would be Susan Janicki and Terry Baldwin.
All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I will swear them in at a later date because as we know, it didn't work well over Zoom last time.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations, and
Thank you.
welcome to the volunteerism. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is a preview of the new website, and it says Karen Casey. Looks like, yes, thank you.
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to express my gratitude for being able to.
Are you sure?
Thanks, Rob. You're a friend. To give you a kind of a high-level overview of the website that we're preparing to launch next week. But I wanted to give just a tinge of a background. And so last fall, we had several demonstrations from some website development companies, and in December ended up determining that Civic Plus was the organization that we were contracting with to do our new website. And I have to tell you that you had the opportunity to meet Grace Johnson earlier today. And Grace has been herding cats and chickens and fox. She's just been herding everything and organizing all the steps that we have had to take over the last 6 months to be ready for next week's launch. She has been a delight to work with and organized, and I just want to make sure that she gets many, many kudos for the endless work that she's done. Let's see. Where'd I go, Rob? So I'm going to share my screen here. And I just did want to show you our current website here. You likely have been on the website and maybe been a little frustrated here and there. Our current website has been around for a long time and is well overdue for new features, updated functionality, etc. And so here's the landing page, the home page, and what you will see in the picture is that these images will scroll. There are 5 images up there right now, and then we have the opportunity to change the pictures out as maybe special times of the year come about, etc. We have a team of individuals representing each department who have been working behind the scenes to make sure that all department information was migrated to the new website, and then we have been working behind the scenes to make sure that everything works and everything is ready to go. And so with that said, I wanted to show you the buttons here, and I'm just going to click through very quickly, and because when you land on this page, you'll be able to navigate with a lot of good intuition around the website. And so if you're here to make a payment, you are going to be able to select what type of payment that you want to make and be able to go directly to that. There's a jobs feature that I'm going to show you in just a little bit. You can also, before I click through the rest of the buttons, you can sign in. And if you don't have an account set up, you can set one up. I have signed up as a personal participant. Come on. There we go. And when I sign in, when I come to the page, depending on where I'm visiting, I am able to connect with the things that are most important to me when I'm visiting the City of Woodland Park. So one of the things you can do is sign up for notifications. And the really slick thing about this is there's an alert center, and so if there's something that really needs immediate attention, those closures or cancellations can be sent to your email and or your cell phone. You can identify the preferences. Emerging news about the city's assets and other kinds of things that we want to make sure that our residents and stakeholders have an opportunity to be notified about. Calendars. And so if somebody wants to make sure that they get all the city council notifications for meetings, etc., when the meetings are happening, they will be notified. And then the agenda center. And so whenever a new city council agenda is posted, they will get that notification, and people don't need to worry about having perhaps an email that from a city staff that goes into their spam, but these notifications will come to, as I mentioned before, their email and or their cell phone. So the other thing that you can do is, let's just say I was on my way to City Hall, and at Pine Street and West-South Avenue, there was a pothole. I could take a picture of it, and I could describe what it was. I can tell where approximately the location of the pothole is. I can attach a picture to it, and then I can provide my information. And if I'd like to have a confirmation of this, I can just make that selection as I submit the information. And so you may have seen at least the initial items that are on the list of things to report. The dog park, say a roadkill, if there was damage or vandalism someplace, and I'm there on a weekend, and you're going through the tunnel over by Safeway, and you say, somebody really has trashed this, and we should let the city know about that. I can do that right there on my phone. We have agendas and minutes for all boards, commissions, and committees. And so you see, City Council, I can expand this. I can choose a year. Maybe I just wanted to see what happened at the last meeting. And there are minutes attached that I can download, and I can also go in to see the video that was recorded for that meeting. Let's just say that I come on here and I'm thinking, you know what? Who was that got the employee of the quarter? That was a really big deal for the staff. And so but I don't remember when it happened. I can do a search, and it comes back with a couple of options for me to take a look and see, oh, okay, that was Kelly Simpkins, or whatever the topic. I also just... You remember the hard work of the deer management last fall, and you can see that that effort lasted a good 6 months, and so you can go in and see the progression of what happened as well. And we have the code, the municipal code. And so you've all been online where you can see the code and the different chapters, etc. And now it's right there on the website. So anytime I want to do something, I can that's investigating some part of our charter, I can go in and take a look at that. And then I would just like to take you through a tour of just a few of the drop-downs. So government, you see agendas and minutes. There's another place that I can click, and it'll take me to the agenda and minutes. So the redundancy here makes it really easy for the user. And so if I've gone someplace else, and I'm always going to find another place to either find council members or find staff or other resources. I just wanted to show you the City Council has another link to agendas and minutes again. It has each council member with your contact and your biographies in there as well.
Karen, excuse me for 1 second. I just want to let the council know, I would like to update those of you that were elected. We need to change. We don't care why you're running for the city of Woodland Park anymore. We need to change your biographies.
Yes, I don't like my picture.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Then you go to departments, and so you can see what's in each department and navigate from there. This leads me to, we have, if you're living here or visiting here, kind of what are the opportunities? We link to the chamber. We link to the chamber's community events, since their listings are really comprehensive. And we link to other public agencies and other opportunities in the community, and volunteer opportunities as well. Then we go to services. And again, it gives you an opportunity to report a concern. It goes to the same place that the button takes you to. And business assistance, parks and recreation, registration, etc. And then there's a how do I? So you want to sign up for notifications, you want to find agendas and minutes, you want to apply for a board, commission, or committee. And then there's there are 2 features that went live on our current site, and one of them is employment opportunities. So this is I framed into our current website, and you can go in and let's just say I'm looking here for a job. I don't qualify as for either of those positions, but I would like to be notified when other opportunities come up, and so that I get a prompt and then I can go and investigate from there. The other important feature that was launched a couple of months ago, I think it was nearly 8 weeks ago, is our parks. It's called Civic Rec, and so I can go online, and it's a very robust program that Parks and Rec has implemented, where I can go in and I can rent a facility, I can rent a park, I can sign my kids up for soccer, I can interact with Parks and Rec with every program and every building, every park that they oversee. It's a very, very user-friendly, and I think you'll be really proud of this when we are able to launch it next week. We have information that's on the home page, and actually it's consistent through all pages, where we have notifications and information. But we also have upcoming events, and so all meetings, the meetings calendar is the one that you're seeing here, and so it'll have all Planning Commission, council meetings, BOA, Board of Review, also the Utilities Committee. And then when you're looking for special events, this is where we link to the Chamber of Commerce. And so their calendar system is iframed into our new site, and you can view and you can request. You can use it just like you would if you were going to the Chamber's site, but you don't have to leave our site. And I know that there was a question, I think, Councilmember Zuluaga, you had asked about a question about a historical background, and so that is something that we will look and add to as we get the site launched, and we can add to it.
Okay, I'll go next.
Ms. Casey, just a real quick question. I'm sorry, Val, did you recognize me?
I did.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I'm sorry.
When you were coming up with the design and where to place the control metaphors, did you get or do a survey so that the payment would be the very first icon that we would see? And the reason why I ask that is I love the design. It takes the old website, which followed a different design pattern from many years ago, to a much more modern design pattern. But the very first thing my eye caught was payment, and it was like, ooh, what bad message on first thing. Unless you've captured the flow on our current website, and there's a lot of people that the only reason why they come there is for payment, which would make it a wise choice to have a request for money, basically, the first thing the eye catches. If it's for simplicity based on the most use or the highest usage, good icon. If it's not a high usage thing, psychologically I would move it over so it's not the very first thing the eye catches.
It was part of the analytic process that Civic Plus went
Perfect.
through. Yes. Thank you. And we do have a lot of visitors to our site who are paying utility bills. And so it gets them there, and so, yes.
I wasn't sure if that had been looked at, but
Yes.
makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have three questions. If I don't ask them quick, I'm not going to remember what they are. First of all, your ICS, your calendar migration, can people pull that in? Okay, sorry.
What he's asking is, can they get it on their Outlook, Gmail, or or Apple calendars?
Or Google Calendar. It's an ICS thing. The other question I have is, I'm just going to ask them so I remember. The current domain, is it going to be forwarded to this new site, or are you going to phantom that?
It will redirect, so our current naming convention will redirect to the new site, yes.
Okay, good.
If I can, I'll answer a little more. There's a couple of redirects that we will have that will bring it re-brought into the website, but the big issue is just, you hadn't mentioned this yet, Karen, but we did talk about it, that between July 7th and July 9th, the security, of the website, hypertext transfer protocol, HTTPS, when it goes back, it takes a couple days for that to migrate. And so there's, if you don't type in either HTTPS or HTTP instead, you may not get to the website. It takes a couple days with that new website to migrate over in that time. So that's something we wanted to mention. So we're saying July 9th is generally when you can get to this new site. I mean, you want to elaborate on that?
So, and it may be that we're able to send you all a link on the 7th. That security process may happen right away. And so we did want to say at the very outside, it'll be live on the 9th, on July 9th, yes. And Mayor, I will need to get your...
Yeah, I'll get with you.
Okay.
The other thing is, have we... I must say this tongue-in-cheek, but have we lost any functionality from the old website?
No.
No.
Except the fun scrolling front page. Yay.
If I can, I want to, I think one of the really cool things that Karen showed, was the ability to go in and search our historical agendas and be able to find a lot of the different documents and agendas that we've had in the past. That's been more of a struggle in the past because we just post them as a separate document. So that's a great thing that makes it a little more transparent, easier to navigate for the city. And the other thing is, as per the policy the city has followed up until the launch of this website, is that we send out an email to a group of our agendas out to a group of interested local members of our community. We intend to not do that anymore, and we intend to start using this alert system so that if there's ever a change in the document, they immediately get the latest version of that sent to that same email address that they would normally receive. So it's a really, really great way for people to stay in touch and stay on top of the content for the city.
Councilmember Neal.
And Darren, since you mentioned the search engine, and last council meeting we learned that we're going to have a fairly significant cost as a result of the change in the police policy with the video camera. Have you negotiated a license so that the search engine can be used for the technology that the police department might be requiring for their search engine?
I will assume that there will have to be a separate link on the site that will take us to that database, that cloud search system.
I understand a different link, but the license agreement, are we going to have to pay for two search engines, one for over there, one for here, or is our license allow us to reuse that to save some money? Can you check?
I'm not sure. I have to.
I'll get with you.
Yeah, please get off. I'm not sure what you're asking, but I'll find out.
Councilmember Papp.
Hey, is the site going to be served up on a major server Or do we have our own server farm, or are we hosting this site on a
We
major
don't.
service?
Civic Plus is hosted across the nation.
So it's going to be hosted on Civic Plus?
It will be.
Okay, so yeah, it'll be, assuming it takes 48 hours, which usually, honestly, if you're on a major service, it's about 2 hours or less.
Let's hope.
But do you have 404 pages, 404 error pages available to let people know it's in transition?
Did you ask?
I asked.
Okay.
You have 404 pages, error pages available that explain we're in process of transition.
Karen, you've
Yes.
talked about
Okay,
transition.
thanks. That's all I need to know.
I knew what you meant.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Labar, anything? Case? Councilmember Case? Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to it. Appreciate it, Karen.
Thank you.
Additions, deletions, or corrections to agenda. I have one correction, which is on 5A. The June 16th minutes are actually June 18th minutes. And then once we get to those minutes, there's another correction that I've found on those. Any other additions, deletions, or corrections anybody has? Hearing none, seeing none. Move on to the consent calendar. Suzanne.
Thank you, Mayor Carr. This evening on the consent calendar, we have the June 4th regular City Council meeting minutes, the June 11th special council meeting minutes, and the June 18th regular council meeting minutes. I do have one correction. Is it the same correction, sir? There is part of one of the minutes where I noted I called Mayor Carr, Mayor Pro Tem Carr, so I will correct that, and I apologize for that.
Got demoted already. Thank you. Thank you. I've entertained a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented with the
second.
corrections noted.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Case, second. Councilmember Neal. Suzanne?
Thank you. Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Path?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
We're now on to public comment on items not on the agenda, and I see Don out there, first on the list. If you'd like to come up, sir, and introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you want to talk about, please.
Excuse me.
1 second, sir. Well, I have to get into afterwards. Don Angel, Director, Emergency Management, Teller County, Colorado. And I just wanted to take a moment and tell all of you as council members, thank you for your support during this COVID crisis, supporting the Teller combined agency team. It's been a challenge. It's been different. It's going to continue. I hate to say that, but nobody can show me a crystal ball that says it's not. We've seen it in our other states. Things are happening. We are prepared. I continue to buy PPE. I will continue to make sure Teller County is very well supported. Also, my job is very easy. I just have to please 3 councils, the county, 9 districts, and that doesn't even count all the other districts. So, again, I just wanted to take Oh, that was you. And tell you thank you. For those of you that came, saw what was going on, supported us.
Thank you.
I want to make sure and take the time to tell you.
Thank you.
We all appreciate it. The challenge coin, because I don't want to buy drinks. It's not so easy. The challenge coin was designed by Kelly Simpkins and Patty Alberts. So I wanted to share that for those of you that continue to support us.
I love it.
That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your efforts. We've got a great emergency manager for Teller County. He does a great job. We're looking at fire season at the same time in addition to COVID, and so we're all eager to keep him above ground and stress-free. That's a joke, son, but anyway, I appreciate your efforts. By the way, I got my challenge coin the other day, so he did not forget me. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Carr,
Yes.
for those in the audience or those on the phone, this coin has got some pretty noteworthy stuff on it. It's got this little Pac-Man. It's not a Pac-Man, but it's
a bug.
It's a COVID with a face. So I don't know if your camera can catch it, but it's worth putting in front of the camera. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And if we were smart council members, every one of us would be asking Val to produce his coin. Otherwise, if he can't produce, he'd be owing us a drink, and
That's right.
I'll shut up.
Except we're not
I'll
in a
second
bar,
that.
so. I think we're, Rob, what's going on?
It's great.
Have Rob put it up in front of the thing.
Have Rob put it in front of the thing up there, yeah. Or you can, actually. There you go.
There you go.
Back it up just a little.
Come closer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's it. And then show the other side.
Nice fingernails.
Nice.
What's
Vanna.
the building?
Very nice, sir. Thank you.
No, I thank you, and again, for those in the survey that couldn't really see it, it's got Woodland Park, Cripple Creek, Victor, and Teller County combined agency team. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Tanner Coy.
No further comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. That's the end of my list. I don't have a Zoom chat participant thing in front of me, so is there anybody there? None? All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 7, unfinished business. I will tell you that we have gone through an extensive session with the county and the other entities. You nominated me to represent you as council, and we've come to what we believe is a very successful, equitable arrangement with all parties. It's very similar to what we had discussed in our executive session. You each have a copy of that, and we're looking forward to the council talking about it and seeing how they feel about it. Darren, do you have any more words before we get to that?
I do not.
Thank you, sir. So you've all seen the agreement, the discussion, if any. Seeing none.
If I could just briefly, as fun as it was for you to work for all of the entities, it was equally as fun for us to get all of them on the same page in this agreement. And that's why it took several weeks. I wanted to point that out to the public. It was wonderful to work with everybody involved to make sure that we came to a resolution on these funds for the benefit of the entire county. And it was a fun process, but it challenging so as well, in making sure that everybody's needs and everything else were met.
Yeah, and if this passes, we'll have more information down the line on how we're going to proceed with this. But at this point, I didn't see any other discussion. Would anybody like to make a motion? I will make a motion to approve the CBRF fund agreement with Teller County, Cripple Creek, and Victor.
I second the motion.
Suzanne?
Thank you. Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Path?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Case?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We move on to 8, which is ordinances on initial posting. We will consider ordinance 1380. The city attorney is the presenter.
All right, so as you recall, last meeting we had a discussion on this issue. I presented you with a couple of options, and after that discussion, this is the draft that I came up with. Talked with our city clerk to make sure that she's comfortable with the change in language to adequately address the issue. This mirrors the state statute in Title I, which is the state election code. It's different than what would be in Title 31 in the municipal election code, and so this gives us additional protections. I say it mirrors the state statute. It also adds some enhanced language that would be particular to us to help clarify this issue. So it goes above and beyond what the state statutes have on this particular topic. But this is the draft that I came up with. As stated at the last meeting, if anyone has any additional changes or adjustments or questions, more than happy to go that direction as well.
Thank you, sir. So I verified with the city clerk that she's comfortable working with the city attorney at this point to, she has confidence that this will cover every imaginable just the ones that we see in front of us at this point. So I was very hopeful that we'd get something, a tool for our city election judge to facilitate a election official. I'm sorry. Thank you. Comments, discussion.
Questions?
Councilmember Neal, yes.
It would apply to me. The last sentence in paragraph 1.05.030B, a nickname is intended to be a familiar form of a proper name and does not include yada, yada, yada. If the nickname does not meet the intent, which, as you've stated, is a familiar form of a proper name, which Rusty is not a proper form of any part of my name. It is a true nickname, legal nickname. Will I be allowed to use Rusty Neal, my name?
So I think that's to B. The beginning of the paragraph talks about any nickname can be included if there's evidence that we regularly use the nickname and it does not include those things. So the last sentence is merely to provide guidance as to what's typical. I wouldn't say that it would prohibit that in that instance. I believe in your particular situation, you have government documents that designate that as your official nickname. So rather than, and the mayor brought this up during the week as to what constitutes evidence, rather than trying to define that and create a whole list of items that would potentially be out of date in a couple of years, leaving it open so there is some discretion. But the idea of a nickname and what it's intended for is a general guideline, not necessarily that it has to be exclusive of those things.
Thank you, Val.
Councilmember Paff.
And by the way, Jason, just as clarification, it says a nickname is intended to be a familiar form of a proper name, not, it doesn't designate it as of the candidate's proper name. So it's generic enough, it seems to me there, and that seems obvious that way. Am I correct in so stating?
Any other comments, discussion?
I have a discussion point.
Councilmember Zalaga.
Jason, you had talked about other issues to put on this, to put on the ballot. It's not on this particular ordinance. Were you referring to just this ordinance?
As far as matters that could be put on this November's election?
Correct.
Yeah, that's not in this ordinance. This is particular to just this change in our code. Council has the ability to add additional, assuming we get a majority on an issue, we can add additional ballot questions to the agenda, or to the November election. I believe the deadline to certify the ballot content is September 5th or so.
Good job.
So we would have to have, if it's going to be done, it would have to be done in advance of that deadline and finalized so that it can be submitted to the county for inclusion in that. So you have a couple of months still to determine whether or not there's any other measures that you'd like added.
So the August meetings basically for initial and final.
So Mayor Carr, would it be appropriate to float one of those ideas now to get some public discussion on it?
Well, we're talking about this specifically.
That one only.
If you want in your council report, maybe that'd be a good time to.
That's good.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Just to stay on target here. Any other comments, discussion? I would entertain a motion that I won't make this time, unless I have to.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1380, amending the Woodland Park Municipal Code by adding section 1.05.030, appearance of names on the ballot, and set the public hearing for July 16th, 2020.
On initial posting.
On initial posting.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Suzanne?
Neal?
Yes.
Path?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
We have no public hearings or new business. We're down to reports, and I don't have my activities thing.
There aren't any.
I know, but
They even canceled the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo
They told me
today.
they were going to.
What did they cancel today?
The rodeo, Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo.
All right, Mayor's report. The 4th of July, we have 50 flags at Lions Park. I believe it's 7 a.m. that people want to participate. I usually do, believe it or not, I actually get up for that one. Flag raising ceremony at noon in Memorial Park. And the fireworks are approximately 9:15. Well, it says a.m., but I don't think that's right. I won't be there for that one. No, 9:15 p.m. Get in your cars, do social distancing, do all the precautions that we normally do, but look at the fireworks. That's our big thing. 13th of July, the Chamber has their annual golf tournament at Shining Mountain Golf Course. I assume they've got their precautions in order too.
A time on that, Val, I have not seen.
The Chamber Golf Tournament, I don't have a time on it. But it's the 13th of July, so usual tee times are usually start at 6, 7. Well, that's right, we're a smaller town. I'm not San Diego.
Excuse me, Mr.
We are looking at a possible, do you want me to do this? Possible work session? Okay. Possible work session on the 9th of July, Council, if you would look at your calendars, 6 to 8 p.m. This is not an interactive doodle poll at this point, but we're trying to save the date. But so get back with Suzanne. We're going to look at two issues. One is the COVID relief fund that we passed today that hopefully the rest of the county will, and Victor and Cripple Creek will sign. And then we'll talk about how we help our citizens. And the other thing is a follow-up. It might be a short meeting with the Planning Commission work session and some of the ideas we have. Sally's come out with a planning director, Sally Riley has come out with a questionnaire. Rusty and I talked to her about it yesterday. We'll be getting that out very shortly in relation to that. So we might have two items on that, but they're not going to take forever. The CVRF thing might, because it's extensive. That's all I got. Mayor Pro Tem Labar.
I don't have anything for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Case.
Thank you. Just wanted to report that the Colorado Springs Philharmonic Orchestra made the decision, it's been a while now, in June, that they would not, because of social distancing, they can't play as an orchestra with 6-foot distancing, and they would probably take up the whole football field if they did. So they made the decision, although difficult, to cancel the 4th of July and the 5th of July concerts. The 5th of July is, as we all know, here in Woodland Park, and so the Symphony Guild has, we have postponed the 40th anniversary of the Symphony Above the Clouds to 2021, and we invite everyone to look forward to that, and we're planning on our 40th then. So it's hard because it's on the heels of 2 previous years of cancellations of the concert. One in its entirety due to rain, and then last year, Carrie Dell, our opening act, did play, but the symphony could not play and left us that evening. Unfortunately, when that happens and we cancel on that day, we still have to pay the $33,000 that it costs to bring the symphony orchestra and the stage and everything associated with that to our community. So we'll be working diligently on our concert for next year as it's postponed and not canceled this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And my wife, who made the quilt for this one, has the current collector's item now, T-shirt for the symphony thing. So it'll be
correct
next year. I
She made a commemorative quilt out of a collection. We have 3. We've given one away last year. We have one that will be hanging, I believe, in Park State or in the Historical Society. I think we're going to donate. But the one that Sherry made for us, your wife, we will be giving away in a drawing of our major donors for next year's 40th anniversary concert. And it's really a very beautiful quilt. So thank you to Sherry, and we'll look forward to that next year.
Thank you. Councilmember Neal.
I'd like to reserve my time till later.
Okay. Councilmember Paff.
Just a reminder that this Saturday, 3 p.m., there's going to be a gathering at Shining Mountain Golf Course. They invite everyone to come, and I hope that everyone will attend in the city.
Time?
3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay.
Till whenever.
That includes all the council.
Yeah. Special request of the council to come by and thanking everyone for what they're doing.
Thank you. Councilmember Zuluaga.
Thank you. So Main Street has put out all of the buntings and the flags that you see downtown, and they're going to have a little table or whatever for handing out water on the 4th. And DDA are meeting here in Council Chambers Tuesday morning at 7:30, so if you want to come and see what the DDA is working on, then you'll have an opportunity to hear them. 7:30 a.m. here in Council Chambers. And this was what I was wanting to float with regards the ballot. For the people of Woodland Park, what do you think of the idea of seeing we're incurring the cost for another election? What would it look like if we scheduled our elections at the same time as Teller County, the county, the state, and the national? My question for staff would be, what sort of cost difference would that be? Would there be a benefit to the citizens? And do we have a stomach for that? Do the people want to look at making it to simplify it, to put it on a ballot with everything else?
So I can just speak from this year's experience only, sir. And as you know, our election for our municipal election in April cost us about $25,000. But remember, we had 3 council members, 3 council seats, we had a mayor seat, and we had 11 charter amendments on that ballot. So it was a big ballot. For me to have the one question of the county, of the candidate being appointed for council, Clerk Crystal Brown has given me a quote of about $11,000 for the one question. So...
One question in addition to the candidate?
No.
Just for the candidate?
Just for the candidate for now. I just have that. I don't know how many more questions, how much that would increase the cost. I can only speak to the ones that I've done. I can ask her to take my ballot from the last election and compare it and give me what the cost would be if she put it on her ballot. I'm sure she'd be glad to do that.
In general, coordinated elections are typically cheaper, though. So that's what you're saying. You'd like to try to do more coordinated elections with the county.
I'm posing the question. I'm not coming to a conclusion yet. I'm just saying, what would that look like? It cost us $25,000 to do it in April. So if we synced our election cycle with the county, the state, and the national, would that cost be like $11,000? Is that like pretty reasonable, and then what would the benefits be? would it be, we've had a whole lot of advertising this year in terms of candidates. It's been a lot, so.
I can only provide anecdotal experience from my last jurisdiction that did exactly that, and it's all dependent, as our city clerk just stated, on how much you put on the ballot, and they look at a proportionate cost based off of how much room your stuff takes. And if it adds additional pages or additional size to the ballot, you're typically responsible for those differences.
The one thing that I do know is all our stuff, all our ballot, I'm not promoting either way, but just a comment, will be last on the ballot. The municipalities on the ballot, everything for the municipalities falls last. So, having this election that we just had with 11 charter amendments, it would be on the ballot with all the county stuff, and then ours would be below that. And I know we talk about voter fatigue sometimes.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, voter fatigue.
Voter fatigue is often the issue when they're coordinated like that, because oftentimes the state, the Fed, and the county have questions as well, and so it can become quite lengthy. And I'm not advocating one way or another. I just know that, if they have quite a few things on the ballot, and then we have all of our candidates and 11 charter amendments, whew, that's voter fatigue. But anyway, just a thought. Not one way or another.
I believe we had nearly a dozen state ballot questions this last election, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere near that. Plus, it's huge. It's a huge ballot.
So can you just kind of do a cursory check with Crystal on adding that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else?
That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Neal.
I'm done thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know another topic might have come up, and it did not.
Okay, very good. We now need a motion to go into executive session. Oh.
I have nothing to report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget about the staff. Never mind. City attorney.
City manager report. All right.
Report, please.
The one thing I want to talk about, just really brief, is as you probably know from last year's budget, the city was awarded a grant with the Small Business Development Center for Teller County. And so the city, after all the COVID-19 impacts, will be hosting, working with SBDC and the Chamber to host a leading edge strategic planning series. The strategic planning series delivers comprehensive training to small businesses by providing entrepreneurs with a better understanding of starting and operating a small business. The program has courses geared to help both startup and existing businesses in the areas of finance, marketing, management, and more. We are putting out, we promoted it today. The series virtual series, it's a virtual series that will last between July 15th and September 9th. Will be focused on Teller County businesses, both startups and existing businesses, with the intent to do I think it's one class a week during that time frame virtually. The city, through our grant process, will provide 10 $500 scholarships. This is paid for through the SBDC grant to any businesses that want to participate in the program. And so if you want that, I would encourage you to reach out to Rob Veltz. He will be taking those scholarship requests, and we will hopefully get as many participants as we can. The program starts on July 15th. Mr. Mark Biddle, founder and president of Connections Mark, will be hosting the Leading Edge series. That is all I have.
Thank you.
Do you know what the cost is if you without scholarship?
I think it's $500.
Okay.
Yeah, so we cover the entire cost. So.
And is it going to be Zoom or physical?
It will be virtual. It's going to be virtual. You remember what platform it's going to be on? Possibly WebEx. I think it might be WebEx.
And now I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we move into executive session, please.
Can you?
Oh, I've got to read it. Sorry, I've got it. Hold on. Hold everything. Executive session 1, executive session for the discussion of a personnel matter under CRS Section 24-6-4024F and not involving any specific employees who have requested discussion of the matter in open session, any member of this body or any elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or of an elected official, or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees. And the following additional details are provided for identification purposes. Check in with the city manager.
I second the motion with hopes that the length of such motions being necessary may encourage us at some time in the future not to make one.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Pat?
Yes.
Zuluaga?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Case?
Yes.
Labar? Yes. Neal?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We'll take 10 minutes and upstairs.
We're going to go upstairs?
I think, aren't we going upstairs?